Welcome to War Thunder with Subdued. How y'all doing today? Well, I see a lot of people begging for new stuff. And I kind of get it. I really do. We're going to turn the volume down so we don't get overridden by game noise. Um, and I agree. I mean, I would love to see the FA 18, the A version, the FA 18. I think it's C and D, C or D version, which is the Super Hornet. The F-15E Strike Eagle. More modern versions of the F-111, like the E or F. Um, and, the various Russian, more modern aircraft. But what we're missing, and this is a reason that I'm making this, is older aircraft. Now, hear me out, please. I already said I'd like to see these more modern aircraft, but you can only go so new, especially when there is a plethora of planes that have been skipped over. And if you want to go for an example, it took forever to get the P-51C in the game. For those of you that don't know what the C looks like, the Razorback. It took forever to get that in the game, although it had been in the game in the British lineup. And it was also in the game for the Americans as the P-51. Where is it? P-51 early. And the reason it was in the game is because it was a copy of the British one. Note the 4 20mm cannons. But that wasn't the main one used by the United States Army Air Corps. P-51 B and C were the primary planes up until the P-51Ds came out. The P-47, the Razorback. It took forever to get the Razorback. And that wasn't a very nice weight. I mean, there were a lot of Razorbacks made. And now we're up here where we've got the F-15C, the F-16C, the F-14B. I mean, we could go to the F-14D, we can go to the FA-18A, we can go to the FA-18E, which is the Super Hornet. We can go to all sorts of different things. But we're missing some stuff back here. I mean, after they got done with the Bearcat, the next jump that they go to Bearcat and the Tiger Cat, they jumped to the Banshee. Well, there were a few steps before they got to the Banshee. That would have been the FH Phantom. It would have been the Pirate and the Fury, the FJ1 Fury. Now that's not to say the FJ2, what is it, F2J? No, it had been the FJ2, which was basically a Sabre A model navalized. They also aren't having the FJ3, which is again another navalized Sabre. I think with the 6.7 wing or 5.7, whatever it is. But again, they're not here. We're missing aircraft in the Air Force lineup. The F-94 Starfighter. Granted, it probably isn't very useful, but there it is. There's all sorts of older aircraft that are currently missing from the U.S. lineup. I mean, I would love to get the gutless Cutlass, the tailless lethal aircraft, and not lethal in the way that some planes are, but lethal to its pilots. Underpowered engines, poor landing ability, just an absolutely atrocious aircraft. The Pirate, not a great plane, probably on par with the FJ Fury, maybe on par with the FH Phantom. And the FH Phantom would be relatively easy. I mean, basically take an F2H and downsize it. And you've got the FH Phantom. This is something that Gaijin really, really, really needs to consider. Flesh out the remaining planes that have been jumped over. Now, they might not have the most fantastic performance, but you've only got so many aircraft that you can jam into the top. And then you're done. I mean, they are done. Yeah, we're missing the F4G Phantom Wild Weasel. We're missing the F105, I believe it's an F model or G model, I'm not sure, but that was a Wild Weasel. We're missing the F100F Wild Weasel. And we're missing the weapons that those planes carried. Now, yeah, we're not going to get a lot of use out of the AGM-45 Shrike because we don't have the period radars and missiles for ground forces to launch against. But the F-105 could carry the Standard missile, which was much more flexible because it was much larger, and the Phantom Wild Weasel could carry the AGM-88 Harm, which will go after anything they program it for. And that includes modern missile defense. These are older platforms and weapon systems that Gaijin should be seriously considering rather than looking at the things that people are jonesing for, like F-14Ds and FA-18s and the Eurofighters, etc. Do I want to see those? Eventually. Slow down on the race to the top. Fill in the base. Filling in the base will make more sense and longevity to the game. Yeah, there are planes that aren't going to be that wonderful. The F-80A5 is not a wonderful aircraft, but it's a stepping stone. The F-80C-10 is a better plane, but still not wonderful. Why it jumps to the F-104 in that lineup, I still haven't figured out. But there it is. The way they've broken everything up here really doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is what it is. The planes that we're missing, we need them. We also need a new F-3D, the F-3D-2. Why? Because the F-3D-2 could carry AIM-7s and AIM-9s. Now, granted, that was in a China Lake testing scheme, but they were fitted. And they were fired from the F-3D. And we've already got paper planes. Horton 229. What are those Japanese ones? Oh yeah, the R2Y2s. All three of them. This is something that needs to be handled. It's not beyond the realm of reasonable for Gaijin to slow down on newer and newer and newer and newer and newer and newer. I mean, we're already at a point where certain ground forces anti-air systems are exceedingly powerful. And yeah, I know there's helicopters that can duck behind things and cause the missiles to not hit, provided they see them, and all that good stuff. But what about in air realistic? I mean, a Roland, let's just see. What was the Roland? I think that was Germany. Army. Weasel, Gepard. That's got Stinger. There we go, Roland. And we go look at modifications and the Roland. Let's see. Arming distance 300 meters, blah, 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 blah. 15 G pole, 6.3 kilometers. Semi-active line. Semi-active line. Roland's not exactly the most dangerous, but it's dangerous enough. There we go. Just tell me what you've got. 12 kilometers range on the Chinese Tor M1. 12 kilometers. You mostly can't see the targets at beyond that. Do these need to be added into air realistic as ground targets? Probably. Will they be? Don't know. I would rather see stuff like the SA-2. The SA-300 is, or the S-300 is a bit too new to be using in the game yet. But there are other surface-to-air weaponry that can be added to the game. The SA-6, I think, the Gremlin. I don't remember all the names. But there are surface-to-air weapons that need to be added into the game. We should put Gaijin should put a real big slowdown on top tier. I know some of you are going to be like, that's not right. Don't do that. We want our top tier because we want our top tier. Okay, great. You want your top tier. But is it realistic? And when is it going to run out? Well, actually, not that long down the road. The F-15E Strike Eagle ain't that far away. And don't even think about stealth. You're not going to get stealth for a long time. Maybe the F-117 Nighthawk. Because, one, it's decommissioned, and two, it's just goofy looking. And it will probably be some sort of award type plane. and won't be that good either because it can only carry a couple of 2,000-pound bombs. So there are things that need to go into the game before we max out top tier. And I'm hoping that Gaijin pays attention and doesn't basically destroy what's left of the game by racing to the top, and then there's nothing more they can put in realistically without teeing off the player base. Because if the player base gets teed off, they stop playing. And if they stop playing, they stop spending money. And if they stop spending money, Gaijin all of a sudden has a problem. Money doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from creating a product that people wish to buy. All right, that's enough out of me. This is Subdued signing off. Y'all have a pleasant today, a better tomorrow. We'll catch you in the sky in air realistic on the good maps, of which there are still too damned few. Subdued.